Good evening. Welcome to the September 9th, 2013 Eden Prairie Planning Commission meeting. Will everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item on the agenda tonight is actual approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is the approval of the minutes of the August 26, 2013 meeting. Are there any changes?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Abstain.
Next item on the agenda, we have one public hearing. It is United Health Group 2013 amendment by United Health Services. Location is 11155 62nd Street West. The request is for a planned unit development concept review on 71 acres, planned unit development district review on 71 acres, zoning district amendment within the office zoning district on 71 acres, and the preliminary plat of 71 acres into 3 lots and 3 outlets. Will the project proponent please come up? Yes.
And just for public record, I'm going to recuse myself from all discussions and votes on the United Health Group matter because I'm an employee of United Health Group.
Thank you.
If you could please state your name, your address for public record, and tell us a little bit loudly
Certainly.
since we don't have any mics.
I actually think this is on.
Great.
First of all, good evening, Madam Chair and Planning Commission members. My name is Dave Palmer. I'm with United Health Group. And address is 9900 Bryn Road East in Minnetonka. So thank you for taking the time to hear us out tonight. If you may recall, some of you were part of the process almost 2 years ago when we pursued a planned unit development for a 71-acre office development at a parcel that's south of 62 and east of Shady Oak. At that point, we received approval, and since then we're at the final stages of completing construction on Phase 1, which is which is 2 8-story office buildings. We plan occupancy of those 2 facilities in February of next year, and we're just in the process of breaking ground on the second phase, a 15-story office tower, to complete phases 1 and 2. As we've evolved the design process and the master planning of the project, there's been a number of things that have evolved that we're looking for a slight amendment to the original approved PUD. And in a moment, I'd like to invite Miles Lindberg, who is with Westwood Professional Services, and he will be speaking and providing a little bit of detail on the replat amendment as well as the landscape amendment, and then Bill Blansky of HJ Architects to speak about our signage request. So with that, is it okay to invite 2 additional members?
Absolutely.
All right,
Please.
thank you.
There is should be a camera right over there if you have any maps that you need to show.
Okay.
If you
have it on the screen here. Yeah. I don't know.
If you put it right, there's a camera that comes down from the ceiling.
I have it on the computer screen.
Okay, great.
I'm not sure how to get that on the screen. You can see though.
I think it has to come from the operator in the back, and you just come to the room.
Okay.
Work with the.
Oh, there we go.
You got it.
Okay, good. So, just as a background, I wanted to start with this exhibit, which from a plating perspective shows where we ended up back with the original approval in 2010. And we basically had 2 lots for development. Those are the 2 darker shaded areas. On the west side, we had Lot 1, Block 1, which contained all the land area for 3 of the 4 office buildings in the master plan and 2 of the parking ramps. And these are the facilities that Mr. Kellner mentioned are under construction in the case of the first 2 buildings, and parking ramp is just getting underway, the 3rd tower and 2nd parking ramp. And then the second area, Lot 1, Block 2, on the eastern part of the property, property was another platted lot for the fourth tower parking ramp. And then intertwined amongst those two lots were 10 outlot areas that were originally defined to be the buffers and conservation easement areas and buffer setbacks around the wetland resources on the property. And for 4 of those along the Highway 62 frontage, there was a commitment in the development agreement originally to hold those for future use for LRT. This exhibit shows the proposed re-subdivision of the property now in this request. And what we're asking for here is to take Lot 1, Block 1, which was the original lot on the west part of the property, and break that in single lot down into 2 lots. So those 2 lots would correspond with the current phasing of the project. The westerly lot would be the 2 8-story towers and a parking ramp, and the other lot would be for the taller 15-story and that parking ramp. And that's essentially a housekeeping process to allow UHG flexibility for ownership and real estate management going forward from this point. On the my image here, on the east side, the shaded area there is an area of 4 outlots that we're proposing to consolidate into a single parcel that is actually going to be named LRT Way. It's defined as a public way by a plat, so that gives us the process or the procedure to be able to dedicate that series of outlots to the city for LRT use. So paving the way to get that in a position where relatively soon that will be dedicated to the city for future LRT use. The third exhibit that I have has to do with the landscape request that was outlined in the narrative that we provided. And what we're seeking to do here is potentially take part of the very extensive landscape caliber requirement that was a part of this PUD because of basically the magnitude of square footage that's being built on the site. There was a lot, a very high number for caliber inches of trees being provided. We see this as an opportunity to get engaged in the process of the shady road improvements and potentially expand and enhance the landscaping along that roadway with resources that would otherwise basically just be crowding trees onto the subject property. So what we're asking for here is the ability to move part of our requirement off-site into these areas to basically participate in the beautification of landscaping for Shady Oak Road. And then finally, the last graphic that I have is a map of sign locations. It's probably hard for you to see that from where you are, but basically the request that's in front of you that Mr. Blansky will describe in greater detail is to move some of the original signs that was approved around. We had one large monument sign for the PUD that was originally located in the northwest corner of the project. We'd like to relocate that to the southwest corner to a more appropriate location. We had 3 smaller monument signs which were basically for identification of 3 project phases, clusters of buildings, those 3 phases. There's been some relocation of those proposed, partly due to the advanced construction of the roundabout on the south end of the property. We have a more advanced idea about on-site signage for directional signage. So all of that is described in more detail. Thank you.
Mr. Lindberg, Madam Chair, and the committee. There are a number of areas on the site that I would like to describe the modifications that we're discussing for the signage. They're labeled A, B, C, D, and E on the map on the wall right now. I'll go through them in that order. A is the sign that is right along Shady Oak Road itself. That was going to be on the corner of West 62nd. We'd like to move that sign to the intersection of City West and Shady Oak Road in the northeast quadrant of that intersection. We feel that it brings a greater orientation to our guests and visitors to the site, and especially as we begin to understand the magnitude of the scale, the width, and the distance between the curbs now with Shady Oaks improvements and the size of the project as it is developed. We feel that a larger sign is more appropriate at this point, and our request is that it be 191 square feet in surface area and 11 feet tall. Area B is the area that is in two locations along Optum Way, which is the road that runs north-south through the development. On the north end, at West 62nd Street, we have one sign there that we would like to request be enlarged to an area of 59 square feet and 10 feet in height. And we feel that this change, together with the sign that is on the south side of the site, closer to where the new roundabout is going to be, that that sign as well could do well given the scale of the site. And as now specialists begin to see that the roundabout has been partially installed now, we're really getting a better sense of the geometry there on the site, that this height of 10 feet and the 59 square foot size is advantageous to us. Another modification that we've made as an enhancement to the landscape architecture of the site is we've gone to a more restorative nature to the landscape architecture, which will be including more native grasses and therefore a bit taller. And so lifting the sign up out of the ground helps us with that. And you can see that in this image with that band of grass that is on the just on the left side of the sign. The next area that we'd like to talk about is the directional signage that is on the site itself, all internal to the property. So this is once you have entered the site to be able to find your way to the loading dock, to the parking garages, and to the front door. One of the modifications we're asking for here is that the size of these signs for us be modified to be 14 square feet each instead of the 6 square feet, which is the ordinance size. One of the things that we know through this change is that we can greatly reduce the number of signs needed on the site in Phase 1 and 2, just down to 6 signs. And all of these are quite close inside the project and very, very distant from the perimeter roads. And then Area D, where we're also asking for some modifications, is in the signage that would be in the courtyard of the project itself. And this image that's on the screen right now shows that courtyard view, which is having entered the site off of the roundabout around the north from West 62nd. You've gone north or south on Optum Way, and you've taken that right onto Optum Circle. And so now you're a number of city blocks away from any of the normal city streets where the general public are traveling, and we're in the more private, kind of the heart of the project is this courtyard, where we would like to request that we do a 491 square foot sculptural logo sign, which is a vertical freestanding logo of the company that would be in this courtyard, and then a sign on the building as well that is seen in the very center of the drawing. One of the things that we think is important about this is it brings that final orientation to the guests and visitors to the site as to where they are and the brand and signature of the company. And one thing that's important to note is that neither of these signs, either the sculptural logo or the sign on the building, are seen from the perimeter of the project. It's only once you've taken 2 or 3 turns and are actually there at the facility that you then can see these from the public realm. And then lastly is the signs on the buildings themselves. And these are signs that are seen from neighboring neighborhoods around the site. We have currently been strategizing that there would be 2 signs on Phase 1, one on the west tower and one on the east tower, and that they would be at the 8-story height. And their size was to be around 200 square feet each. And ultimately, there would have been a 3rd one in Phase 2 on the taller building. And what we are requesting here is to remove the signs in their entirety off of the lower buildings, the 8-story buildings, once the taller building is in place. There will be one on there in the interim season between February of 14 and the opening of the final of the 2nd phase with the 15-story building. and consolidate all of that square footage to just be on the taller building alone. One sign on the north side and one sign on the south side. So there's no place in the city of Eden Prairie or Minnetonka where both of these signs can be seen at the same time. You'll see one or the other and one at a time. And then the size of these overall, and remember that it's from the top line of the sign to the bottom line, left to right, is a request of 500 square feet. The sign itself mathematically is much smaller than that, but the ordinance calls for the overall perimeter dimension. So those are the 5 areas that we're requesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll come back to you if we have questions. Mr. Franzen, will you take us through the planner's report, please?
I will. Staff recommends approval according to the conditions on page 2 and page 3 of the staff report.
Seeing this as a public hearing, is there anybody out in the audience who would like to speak about the project? Commissioners?
I don't have any questions.
Seeing none, we have a motion to close the hearing.
Madam Chairman, move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Or aye.
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 I'm gonna abstain.
Madam Chairman, move to recommend approval of the planned unit development concept review on 71 acres, planned unit development district review on 71 acres, zoning district amendment within the office zoning district on 71 acres, and preliminary plat of 71 acres into 3 lots and 8 outlots based on plans stamped dated September 4th, 2013, and the staff report dated September 6, 2013.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
I'm gonna abstain.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, Mr. Franzen, are there any planners reports?
I have no planners report this evening.
Okay. Members reports, Citizen Advisory Committee, there was not an actual Citizens Advisory Committee meeting. There was the board that heads the committees, the Citizens Advisory and the Business, the Corridor Management Committee, which encompasses most of like the mayors and some council members of the cities involved in the project, met to discuss the alignments in Eden Prairie, as well as the freight options in St. Louis Park and Minneapolis. And there was a motion passed to recommend to the Met Council that the first alignment option, which would run behind the Brunswick zone, kind of along that hillside, not all the way up on Technology, would be the town center station, and then it would continue westward over to Southwest and then Mitchell. And the one other thing that they are still discussing, they're looking for more information on, is also the operations facility, whether it would be in Eden Prairie or in Hopkins. There was statements made that it would be more efficient to be in Hopkins, but Hopkins is concerned about being one of the smaller communities, that they would lose a larger amount of tax base compared to other communities. So there's more work being put into these decisions with the freight, seeing if there should be additional options through St. Louis Park, or if they should also look at the shallow tunnel through Minneapolis. They did make a motion to take the deep bore tunnel off, primarily because of cost. So their next meeting is actually on September 11th, and they will be getting more information. They asked for additional consulting on the water tables and the additional freight options. So I'll have further updates for you after that.
And just as a reminder, the rough timetable to have those locations finalized for Eden Prairie and a decision on the maintenance facility?
Yeah, they are. So they are wanting to have a recommendation to the Met Council, I want to say by the end of September.
End of September, okay.
Yeah, and then the Met Council would also need to get municipal consent within the next month or so from each of the cities, and then finalize the decision before it's sent on to the federal government.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other members' reports?
No?
Any?
Just real quick on
Yeah.
the light rail. So after that point in time, there would be public hearings and all that on each station location and all that. So that's just a recommendation, but the Met Council kind of blesses it, and then
We send it out to the various entities, and then we go through our municipal consent process. Say yea or nay about the stations and the alignment.
okay.
Any continuing business? New business? Motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.